each of you left a lasting impression in the films that you made this year. These are performances that we're talking about even after all these months. I'd like to start by asking you, how many pages into a script or how long into a narration do you know that this is a film I want to do or not?
Many a times after read the entire film and after you finish it, that's the time you realize, I shouldn't have done this film. No, I think the moment 10 minutes into the film, you know whether this film is with you or not with you. As a film, forget what you're doing in the film. And by then, I'm sure, at least for me, I know within first 15 minutes whether I'm going to be part of this film or not. If it has been first 15 minutes, then it's great. If not, I'll be wasting another 2 hours listening to the entire script.
Okay.
No, I totally agree with him. I think in the first 10 minutes of reading or the first 25 pages or so, you know whether you're into this script and you want to go with it. And then I think later on, if there are some issues that happen with the script, if you really want to do a film, those are things that can be solved, or those do get solved as your relationship builds with the producer and the director and stuff. But first 25 pages, I think.
Because otherwise, so many times you're just wondering, अच्छा अब कुछ हो जाएगा यार, अभी कुछ होने वाला है, अब साहब is there something? Yeah, अब उठेगी, yes.
अब कुछ होगा.
Actually, I am very petrified of narrations because I feel it's this very weird situation where, see, you're not going to like 9 out of the 10 things that you're going to hear. That's usually the kind of ratio that it goes at. If you feel like this is not something that you're interested in, the next 2 hours is a very painful experience.
Of course.
Because, you know, you're sitting with a filmmaker who's sensitive to an actor, and he kind of starts sensing the fact that you're not with him.
You've tuned off.
And you're trying to be with him, and it can really, really be very, very uncomfortable. So I usually prefer to read unless I have a relationship with the filmmaker that I'm working with, or I have a very strong reason to be hearing a narration.
Right.
I prefer to read because I feel that's a more an aesthetic way of dealing with a situation which could get uncomfortable. And there have been scripts that have come my way which I've heard and really liked, and they've turned out to be really bad movies. And sometimes the other way around. I've not liked a script and it's turned out to be a really good film. And that happened recently, and I actually picked up the phone. I saw the film on a flight and I picked up the phone on the director. And I said that, man, you know, when you came with this film to me, I just didn't get it. And that's I think the most difficult thing for an actor, because what is being narrated to you, we tend to use our own imagination to understand how that's going to get interpreted visually. But the filmmaker has his own language and he has his own way of interpreting a script. And the most difficult thing, and I still struggle with that, I would love to know how, you know, all these other people deal with it. I still don't always know how the filmmaker is going to make the film.
Right.
So I don't know how important a narration is beyond a certain point. Like when I work with, say, for example, a Vishal sir, I can't imagine how he was going to shoot Heather. It just happened like that, or Kameena for that matter. So there are certain filmmakers with which I feel you need to take a leap of faith.
Right.
And there are certain times at which I think the script becomes the predominant factor for why you do a movie, I feel.
Sure. Nawaz bhai?
स्क्रिप्ट का मेरा थोड़ा सा वो रहा है, मतलब बिलीव कम रहा है, क्योंकि अगर मुझे डायरेक्टर का पता चल रहा है कि डायरेक्टर के माइंड में क्या है, क्योंकि मेरे पास जो ज़्यादातर स्क्रिप्ट्स आई हैं वो या तो 16 पेजेस की होती थी या 17, इतने इससे ज़्यादा नहीं. बदलापुर में भी जो फर्स्ट ड्राफ्ट था वो, हाँ, सिर्फ पॉइंट लिखे हुए थे उसमें. सबसे अच्छा जो नरेशन हुआ था वो साजिद भाई के साथ हुआ था. वो उन्होंने सिर्फ सुनाया था कि जब मैं नरेशन के लिए गया था तो उन्होंने सुनाया कि नवाज़ भाई आप सामने से आओगे और 4 लोग आपके पीछे खड़े होंगे 6-6 फुट के, और मैंने वहीं बोल दिया हाँ मैं करूँ. उसके बाद आज तक कोई नरेशन नहीं हुआ उसके बाद.
ये किक के लिए है.
किक के लिए था.
To take off from what Shahid said, have there been films that you turned down which went on to become big, huge hits, and did you regret it?
Yes, there was one film that I was offered that I couldn't do. I'll name the film also. It was Rang De Basanti. And the reasons why I couldn't do that film were because they wanted dates in 2 months for the next 6 months, and I was already doing 3 movies, so it would have been unprofessional on my part to say no. That's the only film that I couldn't be a part of that I really, really regretted being a part of. I'm trying to think if there's any other film. No other film. I've done a lot of films which I do regret having done, but this one I regret having not done.
Okay.
Yes.
Riteish?
Whichever film I thought would work, I have said yes to that. The way I have started and probably moved in the last 10 years, I have not had the opportunity to say yes to kind of films that have been offered to, say, Varun today, or Shahid had the opportunity to work with those filmmakers. I made my choices with the kind of films that were in front of me.
Right.
Be it 3-hero, 2-hero, multi-starrers, housefuls, and dhamas, and you know, all those kind of cinemas. I thought they would probably be commercial success, and that's what was needed for me that time.
Correct.
And needed now also, but yeah, I said yes to all
Always
of them.
needed.
Always needed. Yeah.
Right. what was the one quality in the character that you played this year that really spoke to you or that you were most drawn to?
When Ek Villain was offered to me, the first question was, why me? Because, I really don't relate to something like
completely
this.
against your image, yeah.
There's a guy who is in love with his wife. That's the reason he can't kill his wife. And he gets his frustration out killing other women. So I couldn't relate to this character.
Right.
So I realized while performing it that probably I might be capable of killing someone. And it really scared me at one point. When I was lying to this dead body and talking to that dead body, and I thought I could just stab that person again. Wow. It's really scary. I mean, that's the time you feel that, there are people who probably are on the wrong side of that line.
Right. Where the
Thankfully,
bad is more
where
predominant.
I'm probably just enacting it, but I could relate for whatever reason.
That people like this can
exist.
exist.
Yeah, can exist. Of course they can.
Sure.
For me, I think Main Tera Hero, the fact that I communicated with God and God spoke back to me, I thought that's a very universal emotion. I think every person prays, most people pray to God and subconsciously answers you back. And with Humpty, that he was a loser, a lovable loser. I think everyone's also been that at some point in their life, and they've been down and dejected. They've not got the girl of their dreams. So I think mainly it was these two universal things which I think everyone could relate with. So I wanted to play it because of that.
Those reasons.
I was actually, honestly, it's Hamlet,
The greatest part ever.
Yeah, probably one of the finest parts ever written for any actor. The most difficult parts probably written for any actor. But when I read the script, I kind of fell in love with it. There were a lot of things that I felt were, even I didn't know how to react to when I read the script. And I didn't know whether I agreed with them, I didn't agree with them. But I knew that they were hitting me somewhere, and that it was really moving me as a person. And I felt that this is a journey that I would want to take as an actor, because it's obviously making an impact somewhere. So I think it was the conflicting nature of the character. I just tried to find Heather within myself somewhere, and it was a journey which happened every day, and every day I would ask Vishal sir whether I'm getting it or not, because you really feel very insecure while playing it, because there's so many layers that you can miss out on so many things.
Sure.
And I still feel I must have missed out on a lot of things.
नवाज भाई?
इस साल मेरी जो रिलीज हुई थी, एक मिस लवली हुई थी और एक किक। जैसे अभी रितेश ने कहा कि मुझे क्यों लिया, तो मेरे दिमाग में भी यही सवाल था कि मुझे क्यों लिया गया। मेरी तो ऐसी पर्सनालिटी है नहीं,
या बॉडी भी,
हाँ बॉडी भी नहीं है।
अब सलमान खान के अगेंस्ट विलन थे।
हाँ, तो फिर कहीं ना कहीं फिर ये एक्टर की ये जर्नी शुरू हो जाती है कि माइंडसेट मुझे उस जगह पे ले जाना अपना कैसे भी करके। तो थोड़ा ह्यूमर मैंने इसीलिए डाला क्योंकि अगर मैं बहुत ही सीरियस हो जाऊंगा तो कि मेरी पर्सनैलिटी जाती नहीं है, तो शायद मजाक बन जाएगा मेरा। तो बेटर है कि थोड़ा सा ह्यूमर का एलिमेंट उसमें ऐड मतलब रहना चाहिए उसमें, ताकि एक फ्लॉवलिश सी परफॉर्मेंस लगे।
Do you remember the moment that you first told your family that you wanted to be an actor? And I have to ask, for you, Varun and Shahid, was it taken for granted for the two of you because you all came from film families? And was it harder? Was the reaction?
Yeah, I've known his dad for like 10 years, and I think he always thought that you're going to be an actor.
He always thought, but the first thing I told
He had
them
already
is,
decided you were going to be
probably
an actor.
in
It
their
wasn't your
heads.
choice.
No, I said I want to be a wrestler.
What?
That's the truth, because I was obsessed with WWF as a kid. So I had this rock fixation. So I told them I want to be a wrestler. And my mom like slapped me and she bent into the whole Punjabi mother mode and stuff.
What's a Punjabi mother mode?
मतलब कि क्या हो गया, पागल हो गया Varun,
Did you
David
explain
he's
to
gone
its fake
mad, and then dad walking around in his shorts and I was saying he's पता नहीं कितने marks लेके आएगा. They would always be after my marks कि कितने marks मिलेंगे इसको boards में, and I did very well in my boards.
Okay.
But I got 82 and my father still
Dude, I
feels
got
that.
82.
Dude, it?
Seriously, man.
I think Rohit always knew, my older brother always knew inside that I want to be an actor, but I never said it. I don't know, for some reason, maybe I thought it's cool, I'll say I want to be a businessman or I want to be something else. But I knew I wanted to be it, and I think my parents also deep down knew that sooner or later he's going to tell us he wants to be an actor. And then
So there was
we'll
no
see.
big moment, like the big announcement?
No, because I was already behaving like
a hero.
Yeah.
मैं
This
तेरा
is,
hero.
yeah, I was already behaving like मैं hero ही बनने वाला हूँ. But I never said it.
Shahid, was that the big moment, the big announcement?
No. So, see, most people don't understand this, but so my parents got separated when I was 3 years old. My father moved to Bombay and he became an actor. He got married, he had kids, all that jazz. I was in Delhi. I stayed with my mother and my grandparents. And my mom moved to Mumbai when like I was 10. and she was doing some stuff on television and things like that. And honestly, being an actor was not a practical thought.
Sure.
Because even though my parents are actors, I mean, they were never mainstream and they were never like in the group and didn't know anybody and stuff like that. So it was like a dream which I could never say. So I told everybody I want to be an aeronautical engineer. I had no idea what that meant. It was just a nice long word. And most uncles and aunties, when you use that, I want to be an aeronautical engineer, they would just be like, very good, beta, very good, because I had no idea what it was. Wow, wow, just like that. So that's what happened for the first, I think till I was like 16 or 17. But then randomly, I got some ads and some music videos happened, and suddenly some interest happened where people were like, "Arey, ye to cute type hai, isko," you know. And so
With the dog and all.
हाँ, with that dog.
I remember that video.
So yeah, so suddenly that vibe happened where I felt like, यार ये तो boss हो सकता है, ये तो chance है. Then
And he was the most famous and good-looking instructor in Shamak's group also, which
I was the thinnest instructor.
And the
I was
chicks would
like a
like
broom.
join so that Shahid could teach
train
them
them.
and all that. I know because a lot of my friends, were, you know, they must be very, very small at that time, but they were all joining.
Yeah, they were very, very small. Nicely done, bro.
Not in that way.
So yeah, then ads and music videos happened. Then I suddenly decided, I said, maybe I have a shot at this. And then I suddenly took off from everything and I started assisting in direction a little bit. I started dancing with Shamak. And then I went to like, I've actually gone to like 100 auditions. And for some really, really crap movies, you know, like those movies came out and I was just like, thank God I wasn't a part of them. Because I didn't know who to go to and who to meet and any of that. And then Ishwish just happened. I don't know, I was just really, really fortunate.
Okay.
And I really feel you need a lot of luck and a lot of blessings of a lot of people and a lot of blessings from God to actually be able to sustain any kind of a career in this industry, because it's really, really not easy.
For you, Nawaz, and for you, Riteish, you all didn't come from film families. Riteish, your father was chief minister at the time. Nawaz, आप तो मुंबई में भी नहीं रहे. I mean, was it a big moment जब आपने अपने family को बताया?
नहीं, एक्चुअली मैंने पहले तो फैमिली को तो नहीं बताया था, और फैमिली की तरफ से ये था कि भाई कोई क्राइम व्राइम मत करो, बाकी कुछ भी करो, मतलब इस तरह, क्योंकि हमारे एरिया में क्या था, हमारे जो जिस जगह से मैं हूँ वहाँ पे बहुत ही इस तरह की काफ़ी चीज़ें होती हैं डिस्ट्रिक्ट मुजफ्फरनगर के पास, तो काफ़ी एग्रेसिवनेस है लोगों में, तो इसलिए मैं किसी को बताया नहीं था. मैंने वो सब नहीं करूँगा, लेकिन जब मैंने एक्टर बनने का सोचा तो मैंने किसी को नहीं बताया, क्योंकि मैं जिसको भी बताता था वो मुंह चढ़ा लेता था, अरे यार का दिखता तो है नहीं है, एक्टर कहाँ बनेगा यार, क्यों खाम टाइम वेस्ट कर रहा है ये, तो इस तरह का होता था. इसलिए मैंने बताना ही छोड़ दिया. जब मैं बॉम्बे आया तो 3-4 साल के बाद मैंने माँ को फ़ोन किया कि
4 साल?
हाँ, 4 साल के बाद मैंने फ़ोन किया कि मैं बम्बई आ गया हूँ और एक्टिंग के लिए ट्राई कर रहा हूँ. तो उनको ये भी नहीं पता था कि मैंने नेशनल स्कूल ऑफ ड्रामा कर लिया और वहाँ से भी 3 साल का कोर्स करके और मैं यहाँ पे आ गया. तो क्योंकि बताता तो शायद उनको कुछ ना कहते, वो कुछ कहने वाले नहीं थे, क्योंकि उनको मालूम था कि कोई भी करो, काम करो, व्हाटएवर, क्योंकि आप पढ़ लिया आपने, अब काम करो, बस ये था. तो इतना ज़्यादा हाय तौबा नहीं मची.
I had finished my architecture. I was going to New York. On my way to New York, Mr. Subhash is a close family friend, and my architecture thesis was on television industry. So he was setting up some school, and I wanted to know what kind of materials I use, because so the entire study happened. I finished. I gave my thesis. I passed my architecture. And I was on my way to New York, and he was shooting for Yade. And he says, मैं लंदन में हूँ, तू 2-3 दिन रुक क्यों नहीं जाता यहाँ पर? And I was like, यार, ऋतिक रोशन, करीना, जगूदा, यादें शूटिंग देखने में मिलेगा, मैं जाता हूँ शूटिंग देख लेता हूँ. I went there, 4 days I was there, and then I went to New York. I came back, 1 year in New York, 6 months here, I started my architectural firm. The DOP, Mr. Kabir Lal, was looking for a new boy for a film. So he called a friend of mine who was an assistant director there. He made a call saying this DOP Kabir Lal, I said, I don't know who he is. I said, DOP क्या होता है? तो the director of photography होती है. तो अभी क्या है? तो बोले कि they're looking for a new boy. तो they want to meet you. And I remember I was that time at the chief minister's residence, and I was on this call. I said, film, picture. The first time I went in front of the mirror and I'm a huge film buff, but only about watching. The thought of probably taking this up as a profession never entered my mind. But that's the time I thought, okay. Then I just told my mom, and I said, at least मैं मिल के आता हूँ कि how close can I get to a film? Because it'll be a great story, एक ज़माना था जब मुझे एक picture offer की गई थी, so it'll be a great story to tell.
Right.
So I entered one of this Sun and Sand hotel. That's the first time I came to that hotel, into a room, and I saw 5 men in whites because South Indian producer on one bed. All around.
This is getting very shady.
Then they asked me to strip.
And the director there. But I first narration. So I thought, wow, this is a great story. I had no idea. I like, yeah, a good story, whatever. But that decision actually changed my life.
Sure.
Because I decided to do that film. But I told them I need 15 days to just ask my father.
Right.
Because a lot of people believe that I'm here because of my father. And my father got me a film, and I was this guy who wanted to do films. कि पापा मुझे एक हीरो बनना है, अच्छा बेटा मैं तेरे लिए करता हूँ. It was not that scene. So it took me 10 दिन मुझे लगे कि अभी रूम में जाऊँ, बात कैसे करूँ. So and then he was standing, and I asked him that, you know, I've got an offer. He says, for what? So I said, do a film. So he said, you're going to produce it. What would it? No, to act. So you want to act? No, if you say no, I won't do it. He said, that's not my decision, that's your decision. But my point was, I said 95%, 98% will be bad and the film won't work. They will not know who I am. Riteish Deshkmukh doesn't exist. They'll only know like Vilaswa Deshmukh's son.
True.
So I told him, throughout the thing, it will be like Vilaswa Deshmukh's son failed, or he's terrible, or whatever that thing will come along with it. And 90% that's what's going to happen. So, are you ready to deal with it? He told me there are far more important questions for me to deal with and issues to deal with. You deal with your stuff. And that's the day I decided. And I'll tell you, I thought my first film would be my last film. I never thought that I would be fortunate enough to be here for last 11, 12 years. But I guess chances in life. I'm an architect. People thought and still expect me to enter politics for whatever reason. But I'm glad to be doing what I'm doing. I really think that certain things are just destined, and you just love doing what you do.
Have you ever been nervous before you worked with any particular actor? Varun, I remember speaking to you last year, just before you Lapur, and I remember you being quite stressed about working with Nawazuddin Siddiqui.
I was.
I'm sure most actors would.
I was. Because he, like he has some very mysterious side about him. He suddenly disappears, then he suddenly appears. I'm working with him and I mean this.
Okay.
Suddenly you're seeing Nawaz bhai and suddenly he's not there. Kidhar gaye? Chale gaye ghar? You know, he just disappears. So I was like, dude, how am I going to act with this guy? Because for me, he was like an enigma. Like, you know, he's done Gangs of Wasseypur, which I loved, which I had loved him. And I still remember a scene from Sarfarosh also, and like that. So I've been, and we were, something we were supposed to do for Main Tera Hero also, I wanted him to be a part of it, and I told my dad, and we met also. And that didn't work out. And I remember telling him also this, that मैं आपके साथ काम करने वाला हूँ.
Okay.
I was like a stalker of his own. I said, मैं आपके साथ काम करने वाला हूँ, sir. And he was like, ठीक है. So when the day came, I think our first scene was the jail wala scene. There was a jail wala scene, and it's quite a hectic scene or whatever.
Okay.
But then he put me at ease before the scene, and he told me, he kind of gave me the ashirwad and stuff. So I was like, ठीक है.
नवाज भाई, आप कभी नर्वस हुए हैं?
मैं ऑफकोर्स हर फिल्म में होता हूँ, मैं समझ रहा हूँ, क्योंकि जब फर्स्ट टाइम मैं एक सीन था, बहुत छोटा सा सीन था सरफरोश में, मेरी पहली फिल्म थी वो, और बहुत ही मेरे ख्याल से 40 सेकंड का सीन था वो. तो मुझे बताया नहीं था इसमें मेरे सामने आमिर खान होंगे. तो मैंने डायलॉग याद कर लिए और सेट पे पहुंचा तो वहाँ तो आमिर खान खड़े हुए हैं. तो उनके सामने जो परफॉर्मेंस हुई वो एक्चुअली डरी हुई, वो कैरेक्टर से मर्ज हो गई एक्चुअली. वो डरना था उसमें, वो कैरेक्टर ही ऐसा था, लेकिन मैं सचमुच डर रहा था वो.
रितेश?
Mr. Bachchan, I think I remember I was shooting for Nach with Ram Gopal Verma, and he called me and told me, do you have these 2 days? I said, why? He said, I'm shooting a sequence for Darna Zaruri Hai, one episode, one short film that he shot.
Right.
And it's a story of a teacher and a student. So teacher is Mr. Bachchan, do you have these 2 days? I said, yes. I didn't know what I was doing. I just cancelled my shoot. I was shooting for Kya Cool Hai Hum that time. I couldn't sleep the entire night. And the first shot I remember, I was standing like that. I'm looking at him and like, oh, that's Amitabh Bachchan's hair. And those are his fingers. that's him, look at his eyes. And he had to say, hey, where are you going? So I'm not imitating him. So, and I'm like this. Yeah, so I reacted 3 seconds late. But like he said, that merged with the character because, but I'm telling you, to work with him was my dream. And वो होता है ना कि acting कर लिया तो एक पूरा हो जाना चाहिए. I think working with Mr. Bachchan was my dream.
And you got that opportunity several times, didn't you?
Yeah, 3 times. I worked with him in Run and Aladdin. So it was just fantastic.
Shahid?
I just almost am finishing a film called Shandar where I'm acting with my father. Although I've been directed by him, when you're being directed by him, he's on your side, he's on your team.
Right.
But when he's standing in the same frame and acting with him, he really doesn't care who's standing with him in the frame. So the first 2 days we shot together, I was very, very nervous. I remember I was overdoing everything. I felt like nobody's going to look at me in the frame. So I would keep overacting. And Vikas would keep coming and telling me, Shahid, calm down, like what's wrong with you? Like, there's a shot where he's doing something and supposed to laugh. I've laughed so loudly during the shot that he's had to like cut it and be like, why are you laughing so loudly? He's not doing something that funny. It's supposed to be like subtle laughter. So the first couple of days I was very, very nervous working with him. But then after that it kind of evaporated suddenly and it became like an actor's relationship with another actor.
Do you like your work when you see it?
I like probably some scenes. I can't say overall I can never judge myself, but I just feel like 1 or 2 scenes, and those are probably the scenes that a lot of people would criticize or critics would not like.
Okay.
But those are the scenes that tali padti hai geti mein ya city bajti hai kabhi kabhi. So there was this one scene in Main Tera Hero where I give this long kind of, it's a monologue, and I know nowadays people are not saying too many monologues, but I say this whole thing to Arun Uday. And there was a whistle and all. So that is my moment. Or when I say, मैं दिखता हूँ sweet innocent Swami type का, लेकिन actually वहाँ बड़ा हरामी type का. I like that.
नवाज भाई?
मैं सर बताऊँ, मुझे हमेशा जब फर्स्ट कट देखता हूँ तो मेरे से देखा नहीं जाता, हॉरेबल लगता है मुझे, क्या कर दिया मैंने ये, ऐसा तो मैंने नहीं सोचा था जैसे निकल के आया, क्योंकि मैं जब भी सोचता हूँ कि सीन में ये मैं अचीव करना चाह रहा हूँ तो हमेशा वो नहीं आता ही नहीं, वो कुछ और ही निकल के आता है. तो हमें जब फाइनली जब देखता हूँ तो अरे यार ये मैं तो कुछ और सोच रहा था, कुछ और निकल के आ रहा है.
जी.
I don't like to see what the stuff that I do. Television, if it comes, I don't like to see myself on television. And after the first trial while dubbing, I don't watch my films again. I can't see myself because I think everything is terrible.
Do you find yourself self-conscious?
No, I just feel that it's not up to the mark. You should have probably done better. But so many times, because the kind of cinema that I have done, it's almost loud from normal acting, you know.
Right.
You're trying to do physical comedy, you're trying to react louder. I had a problem with my voice earlier. So then I modulated my performance to accommodate my voice.
Right.
Because, for example, it's like, kahan ja raha hai tu? Probably slightly bassy right now, but I used to find it difficult earlier. My voice I couldn't dub it. So then I said, kahan ja raha hai tu? Pagal ho gaya kya? So I started, I had to change my entire performance to supplement my voice. Over 10 years, then again you learn and whatever. So next time I used to just watch the film to just notice my voice. Okay, this is wrong. Next time I change this. It's almost like correction, you know.
Like initially my journey in life used to be like, because I think our generation is used to the video assist, which is something that was never there, say 15 years back.
And which some directors still don't use, right?
I mean,
or does everyone
it's
do it
become
now?
Functional now.
Correct.
Because it helps in checking continuity and things like that. But I feel that's something which is a boon and can also be this huge curse.
Sure.
Because you can't act, I feel, over time I've realized this. I used to do this all the time in the first 6-7 years of my career, maybe even 8 years of my career. That I used to act so I can go and check and see what I feel about what I've done. That's not right. It's not my job
Correct.
to judge myself.
Right.
There is a filmmaker there who's sitting out there to decide whether he's happy with what you've done or not. And that's something that I've learned over time, that for me, it's never about judging myself anymore. I like to turn and look at the filmmaker and see whether he is happy. Because that's my job. That's what I'm paid for. That's what I'm here to do as a professional. I'm here to give him what he needs so that his film becomes what he imagined it to be.
Sure.
And I think that also becomes a much more liberating process. And it kind of, I think, brings a beautiful relationship between you and the filmmaker, because you're only acting for him.
Have you ever asked someone for an autograph?
Yeah.
Sachin Tendulkar.
Yeah, same.
तू भी
Sachin. Sachin.
I met him in a lift, यार. So I entered with my security and I was shooting a film and all. So I was like hero mode. Security, I go shoot a film and all. Suddenly, second floor, the lift stops in Chandigarh, and in walks Sachin with his headphones and a bat in his hand and two security. And I go like, and I actually couldn't talk till that lift went down. And he actually turned back and came back. And he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I was listening." Because it's like Sachin is in his zone. He has to go and back today. He's in his zone. Don't disturb him. So yeah, what happened with you?
It's a very embarrassing story.
Tell me.
Tell.
So obviously,
Like-
even I got a little embarrassed, and me and Sachin have the same massage guy.
Okay.
So that's what I told him. Sir, we have the same massage guy. So he just looked at me, he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. And I went away. Then I came back again, this time from the other side, and then someone else introduced me to him. And then I said, "Hello, sir, I'm Varun, I'm a big fan. Can I have an autograph over there?"
Okay. नवाज भाई, आपने कभी ऑटोग्राफ मांगा है?
मैंने मतलब मेरी हिम्मत नहीं पड़ती थी कि मैं एक तो इतनी भीड़ होती थी जो स्टार होते थे, तो वहाँ तक जाना एक तो बहुत बड़ा स्ट्रगल होता था, और दूसरा हिम्मत नहीं पड़ती थी कि डांट वाट के भगा न दे, क्योंकि पहले से ही इतनी डांटें पड़ चुकी है, तो ऐसा लगता है कि कोई भगा न दे, ऐसा टाइप इस तरह का कुछ।
तो कभी नहीं पूछा?
कभी मतलब हिम्मत ही नहीं पड़ी।
जी जी।
Few days ago, Delhi, Roger Federer is playing. And my brother is a huge fan of Federer. So he's saying, I have to meet him, whatever. So Mahesh Bhupati called me, "Do you want to meet Roger?" Because I was there. And said, "Yeah, sure." For my brother, I went there. And throughout that thing, I thought, अभी fan की तरह क्या behave करना है? क्योंकि लोग देख रहे हैं। ये तू fan की तरह behave नहीं कर सकता. So I said, "Okay, fine." तो मैं भी normal गया था. And my brother goes, photograph. I said, "चल, मैं भी निकाल लेता हूँ photo." So I stood, picture, "Hey, nice to meet you," whatever. After I was like, छोड़ माँ की आँख, sign कर please.
2014 has been a better year for the women. Kangana in Queen, Alia in Highway, Rani in Mardani, Tabbu in Haider, Priyanka in Mary Kom, Parineeti in Hasi To Pasi, and there are several examples.
Not really, because me in Hum Shakal as a woman didn't work.
What has been your favorite performance by an actress this year
It has to be Alia.
in Highway?
In Highway.
You thought she was very good?
I thought she was something else. And I saw it before it released also, the film. I saw the rough cut of it. And I was just amazed. I think that's something that I know is very special to her as well. But I remember when I watched it, and not only, I didn't only appreciate it as someone who is an actor,
Right.
as something. There is a little bias because I know Alia from before we've done our first one. But there was something that girl put in too much into. She put in like everything that could have easily been a last film also. It was like that. She put
Right.
in so much into that film. It's not her last film. She's doing a film with Shahid. But no, she was damn good at that film.
No, sir?
मैंने हाईवे नहीं देखी, लेकिन क्वीन मैंने देखी, जो उसमें कंगना का परफॉर्मेंस मुझे बहुत करेक्ट लगा, क्योंकि पहली बार ऐसा लगा कि 3 डायमेंशनल जो कैरेक्टर्स होते हैं वो बहुत फीमेल का स्पेशली जो है
बिल्कुल।
ना, आफ्टर लॉन्ग टाइम
जी।
मैंने ऐसा देखा, बहुत ही स्टोरी टाइप जो फीमेल को प्ले करने के लिए मिलता है।
True.
तो पहली बार ऐसा लगा कि हाँ, ये कि एक ऐसे इंसान को एक कैरेक्टर को देख रहा हूँ, एक ऐसी औरत को देख रहा हूँ, एक लड़की को देख रहा हूँ मैं कि जो ऐसी है।
Who feels real?
हाँ।
जी जी।
Kangna, hands down, for me was the performance of the year. और मैं बिल्कुल सहमत हूँ, I totally agree with him. The fact that, many a times, an entire film will support few characters, but when the character and the journey becomes the film, and you live that, and to portray it so well was just effortless. She was effortless, and she was just brilliant.
Shahid?
Obviously, Queen and Kangana, probably her best yet, and I felt probably one of the best performances I've seen in a few years amongst the female actresses. Alia in Highway, for various reasons which I'll discuss, and Taboo ma'am in Haider. When I performed with her, I didn't understand what she was doing. When I saw it, I was just like, that's what happened. Special mention to Alia. I've just worked with her on Shandar. I have never seen somebody who has been this evolved this early. And that's what I really admire about her. With the amount of experience that Alia has, to have done what she's done at the stage at which she has, and the way she's evolving as an actor, is something that is quite commendable. I mean, I really feel she's an exceptional girl, and therefore a special mention for her.
Okay. You know, all 4 producers that we interviewed recently on the Producers Roundtable agreed that one of the main reasons that movies aren't making money and one of the main reasons that movies are becoming so expensive to make is because of inflated actors' salaries. Shahid, you made Heather this year, and the thing you all did was that Vishal Bhardwaj and yourself deferred your fees until the film broke even, so you didn't burden the film with that cost.
Sure.
Is that going to be the way forward? Are some films going to be able to be made only when actors don't burden those films with their salaries? In fact, some of the producers also agreed that an actor's salary should be equal to the opening day collections that he can justify or that he can bring to a
Yeah,
film.
but I mean, if you look at it practically, the same actor will have a 6 crore opening day, the same actor will have a 25 crore opening day. So it becomes very difficult to make that like a rule or like a set scenario. Having said that, there are different types of films. I mean, I don't disagree with what the filmmakers are saying. I don't think that's the only reason. I think, of course, there are certain actors and certain times at which you hear things about actors charging prices which do sound extremely outrageous. I think what an actor needs to recognize is that he's a part of telling a story.
Right.
The remuneration of an actor should never become a pressure on the film that is trying to get made. Having said that, there are a lot of films, and I would say 80% of films that are made in India are made using the actor's star power
Correct.
to bring people in. You know, that's the way that it's structured.
True.
A film like Heather is not that film. It's not using my fan base to access an opening for the film. Heather is a story that needs to be told, and I wanted that film to get made. And I knew that it cannot get made under the regular norm of how things are done.
Right.
And because that pressure should not be on a filmmaker to make that film, therefore I structured it the way that I did, and we all structured it the way that we did. So I think every film is a different journey.
Sure.
And every actor must be pragmatic enough to sit back and say that I cannot put my cost on a film every time. But when he's going to do, for example, a mainstream film, then you're telling people, like a Humpty, for example, you're telling people, dude, you love me, I'm
But
going to
don't you
entertain you,
hear
come watch
those
my movie.
astronomical salaries and you think, how can a film, even a big film, how is this film going to break even? How is that producer going to make money if an actor is charging a
why
salary
does the
that-
producer sign him? If you want Salman Khan in a film and he's charging X amount of figure, whatever that is, say
Right.
50 crores, 70 crores, 100 crores, whatever that he charges, I don't know how much it is. But once you sign him, you know why you're signing him.
Right.
And you know that he's going to open that big. So if you're signing, then that's it. Then don't sign. Then don't make that film. If you think you want to make X film with, if you can't afford that actor, then go to a smaller actor. But then the scale that you want to make,
Right.
you don't think that actor could justify that scale.
If you say that an actor's remuneration should be based on the first day of his opening collections, no actor will do a film which is not going to make big money on day one.
Right.
Our biggest
You'll kill a certain kind of movie
biggest
completely.
hit ever, which is Three Idiots, started with a 7 or a 7.5 crore opening day as
But
opposed
that
to
was
a,
also-
and it went
that
on
was
to-
also several
But my
years
point
ago.
is, then why would an actor want to participate in a film like that,
Right.
where the opening day is so different from the final collections of a film? That means you're saying that I don't want to depend on quality at all.
Right. Finally, let me ask you, in this age of brand endorsements, promotion for films, and crazy paparazzi, do you worry about overexposure and the fact that there's no mystery left? You know, Ranbir Kapoor says he hasn't joined Twitter because he believes that a star requires an element of mystery and shouldn't be so easily accessible. Do you feel that there is an element of overexposure with just how much visibility there is?
मतलब मैं तो खैर मेरा थोड़ा सा आई डोंट नो, मतलब ये मेरा खुद का डिसीजन है। मैं ज़्यादा वो उसमें रहना नहीं चाहता हूँ क्योंकि एक तो मेरे से ज़्यादा थोड़ा कन्फ्यूजन है मुझे। जब मैं बात करता हूँ ट्वीट या इस तरह की चीज़ों, उनमें कन्फ्यूजन बहुत होता है, करूँ ना करूँ ये वो। और मेरा ऐसा होता है कि लाइक फिल्म कंप्लीट करो और दफ़ा हो जाओ, भाग जाओ, छुप जाओ।
जो आजकल हो नहीं
तो
सकता
मुझे
क्योंकि
शर्म,
promotion-
जब प्रमोशन के टाइम पे मुझे इतनी शर्म आती है, मतलब कैसे बोलूँगा। मुझसे कभी बोलना ही नहीं आता कुछ के सामने खड़ा होकर। अगर मुझे मालूम होता है कि इतना प्रमोशन के लिए पब्लिक के सामने जाना पड़ेगा, मैं सच्ची कह रहा हूँ, मैं कभी एक्टिंग में ना आता, कुछ और काम करता हूँ। लेकिन ज़रूरी है, ऑफकोर्स ज़रूरी है।
बिल्कुल। Do the three of you feel that way?
No, I think things have changed, and we can't think that some people should have mystery about it. It's up to you what things you want to keep private and what things are going to be public. And I guess what Ranbir said, he may have a point through his perspective. But for me, it's like if Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Amir Khan, and Salman Khan are on Twitter, and it's another platform. The reason I joined was so many things are printed about it that you want to clarify. You don't want to give an interview.
Correct.
So you just one
wanna have a
line,
direct
one
access to
that's
your-
it. You know,
to your
this is
audience.
what my stand is. This is what I do.
For me, I feel times are changing, the world is changing. By doing something which is not with the times, I don't really see how that is going to help.
Right.
I do understand an actor's feeling like his privacy is being invaded. I understand that. I've gone through that. It's not a nice feeling. But the platforms that we're talking about, like he's saying, are platforms that we make a choice to express ourselves.
Sure.
And express ourselves in a way where we're directly reaching out to a certain number of people, and people can actually understand. I think it's amazing if, as an actor, people can find. I think the biggest stars of this country have always found a connect with people. And what better platform than to do it in a way where you can actually talk to them directly. And you're not dependent on somebody to
via
give
media.
Exactly, somebody to, because I've always seen this. I feel I'm almost always misinterpreted in my interviews. I always read my own interview and I'm like, I sound like an idiot. So for me, I think I'll never overdo it because that balance is always up to us as actors. But I think it's a reality, and I think people need to wake up and understand that, boss, this is where the world is going. If I'm not going to do this, I'm going to get isolated. And
that's true of brand endorsements and promotions.
It's
and everything.
amazing that Mr. Bachchan has the, you know, at this age and stage, the way he's connected.
talking to all of us. Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. I think it shows.
I feel
great.
Ranbir is more in the news than all of us. He's not on Twitter, but he's still more in the news than all of us because the media has increased, right?
Also, he
the
leads
size of the media
probably a
has
very
increased.
exciting private life.
He's leading a very exciting life or whatever, and he's a big star. So, but he is in the news more than us because he's getting pictured, he's getting.
Sure.
So I think by staying off Twitter, on Twitter, by talking less or more, that doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for allowing us into your process. Thank you for giving us a sense of how you work. What's the work that you find yourself drawn to? We're hoping, of course, that you will continue to entertain us and make the movies that we watch, we love, we enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.